Those of you who watch this channel regularly will know that pretty much every video is scripted to the letter. This one won't be. I want to talk from the heart. I have an outline of what I'm going to say. I have like headlines, but I don't really know what's going to come out. And I want to talk directly about this team. It feels like someone's died. There's not going to be much editing. I'm just going to talk. So stick me on in the background or whatever you need to do, and let's speak, and hopefully you relate in some way, and we can kind of find a way out of this, because this season feels like it's going off kilter, off route. I'm also ill, and me being ill and Arsenal being rubbish is not a good combination. So I just have to speak unfiltered today, I think. It's very hard not to project forward when things are going the way they are. Arsenal obviously out of the FA Cup. I think we're basically out of the Carabao Cup, I would say, in the space of a week. Not to be doomer, but I feel it's very hard to go to St James's Park and get a result there. But I think that's over. So we're looking at the Premier League and Champions League, and we're saying that's going to be hard. Is the season over? I'm not here to tell anyone what to think. If you think the season's over, fair enough. It's never over for me until the final whistle goes. But yeah, it's looking really, really hard. And therefore it's hard not to paint everything with that brush and say everything is terrible, everything is awful, the whole team is ripping up, whatever. And I feel that temptation. I do think some of that is, as I always say, like I do think some of that is just the vocal minority, but I feel that as like quite a positive fan. So I'm sure some of you out there feel that. So I suppose in this video, what I want to do is like really try and separate out what I think the problems are, what the problems are not, and where the responsibility is, and then how to fix it. So I'm going to try and go through in terms of problems and solutions, and just talk through. It's not all or nothing. It's not we are a brilliant team or we're a rubbish team. You know, we have to try and find some nuance. So let's try. And I am kind of done with this. If we play that game, 99 times, we win it. And, if we play that game 100 times, we lose it once, and that's the one we had, but we win it 99 times. I'm kind of done with that. I think we're beyond that now. We've seen this for too long with Arsenal. I mean, we that game against Liverpool in the FA Cup, third round, I think it was last year, ironically in the same kit. That kit, man. We lose it in the exact same manner. So this has been a long-term problem for Arsenal. It's a low-scoring sport, but the way we're losing is a concern. But I think we have to acknowledge the injury situation. Firstly, against us, we've got a lot of players, I would say, who struggle with injuries. I think players like Tomiyasu, players like Zinchenko, players like Calafiori, which is becoming a concern for me. We've obviously had Tierney in the past and stuff. I think we can look at ourselves a little bit in terms of how we're protecting ourselves from injury. I've never seen anything like this season. The amount of players who've been out, I don't know the numbers. Maybe that's just a feeling, but it really, I think it's over what I would be expecting. So we have to look at ourselves a little bit and how we construct the squad. But for me, I massively fall down on the side of incredible. Like, if you're playing a season basically with your hand tied behind your back, and you get another injury with Jesus, and Saka's out, and Odegaard's out, and Timber's out, and whoever, no supporter of Arsenal really can say that that's not in some way affecting our season. So yeah, look at ourselves, but also I think we need to factor that in. We've discussed in videos before about the fixtures and all that stuff. But I think where I maybe fall down in blaming Arsenal in terms of the problems maybe off the pitch is looking back at the window and looking back at how we've constructed this squad. I think we spoke all summer. You can go back to the videos, and I spoke all summer about the squad missing profiles in the forward areas, missing, and we'll come to this in sort of the issues on the pitch, but missing big profiles in terms of the transitional issues we have, in terms of the conversion issues we have, which Mikel has spoken about, and we'll come to sort of how he fits into this picture later. But we've spoken about that, and we know we needed someone who was going to move centre backs in a different way and be a bit quicker, and all that stuff that we've said a million times on this channel. And that's the place that I look at the team and go, we've made a rod for our own back. I think it's incredible to me that it's happened so many times that these problems have come up, because we have other strengths, but you get found out over the course of a season, and you can't leave yourself short in that way. And we absolutely did in the summer window. Whose fault is that? I don't think you can just pin it on Arteta, but a lot of it is on Arteta. A lot of it's on the Cronkies, a lot of it's on the recruitment team, Tim Lewis, Win, whoever you want to blame, but you can't just put it on one person. It's on everyone. It's on everyone at Arsenal. And it's on us to fix it now, especially with this Jesus injury. It's on us to fix it now. So yeah, in terms of the problems off the pitch, before we get onto the tactical issues, those are my feelings. And we have to fix it. We have to fix it now. In terms of the problems on the pitch, we've kind of discussed it. We've spoken about our transitional issues and the high turnovers. I spoke about that in the last video, which is a big issue for us and definitely on the manager in terms of fixing that, because a lot of that is instruction. Yes, okay, some of it is profile as well. It's all interlinked. We can speak about chance creation. We could speak about central access, as I say, in terms of a profile of a midfielder who can receive high in the pocket and receive centrally in turn. That's something we don't have. And again, I would look at the squad building to arrest that. But really, in capital letters, in gold plating, is our finishing. I think, again, we go back to the squad building, and that's a shared responsibility, but you have to look at the players, especially for Newcastle and Manchester United. We're not even having these conversations, and we're talking about being in basically 1 foot in a final of a Carabao Cup, and we're through to the 4th round of the FA Cup if basically Kai Havertz finishes his chances, or Declan Rice finishes his chances, or we're not even having conversations about, Ødegaard and his impact or whatever. That ball goes in, Declan Rice, puts that ball in the back of the net. Now, over a wider sample, I'm not just saying that because, I think it's unfair to say that for however many games we said that for now. If we just finished our chances, there's a wider issue here. But if we're just analysing the Newcastle and Man United games, there's a fair shout to say that it's just down to the players, and we have to, I think, look at them because they can do better, but also in terms of what we can, and they have to look at themselves and fix up. But in terms of what we can control, I think we need to look at the market, obviously, and find players who are much more efficient in front of goal, much more efficient. We how many chances does Havertz miss against Manchester United? I'm probably forgetting loads. The Timber one from the corner. They're unforgivable. And the players have to take their share of responsibility for that. Absolutely. In terms of solutions off the pitch, first, not never. That's not fair. At the moment, I'm still not looking at change really. I think you have to give this executive team and this manager and coaching staff time to fix it, because they have done it before. If you think about the evolution of Arsenal over a longer period of time, you can't judge managers off 2 games. We are seeing movement in the right direction. The board, since they, and the Cronkies, etc., since they took full ownership, which I think is only fair to judge them from there, they have done great, pretty much mostly, in terms of investing in the team, in terms of putting Arsenal in a good position, in terms of paying high wages, in terms of the commercial revenues that have all gone up. If you're angry at KSE, fair enough. Write down all of their responsibilities and look at them since they became majority owners. I think they score pretty highly in a lot of those metrics. So I'm not looking at them yet, but I am looking at them this window. I'm looking at them in this window and seeing how they respond. And I think not signing a forward would be negligence. It would be absolute negligence, considering three of our top players are out, and considering we already needed a forward, I would say. And the answer on deadline day was Raheem Sterling, who, by the way, probably had his best game for Arsenal on Sunday. So that would be negligence. And I think just to come to this point, I think people have made this before. We need to get out. I might have said this before on the channel. We need to get out of project mode. I said it in the summer, I think. We need to get out of project mode, and this idea that we're going to make one wrong move and the whole thing falls apart. We might make an investment now that comes back to bite us on the bum, but for the sake of 20 million or 30 million, or whatever it ends up being, because you can sell players, it's possible. Chelsea are selling that Renato Vega guy they signed in the summer on a 7-year deal, and they're probably going to make a profit on him. We're Arsenal, we're in the Premier League, and we're not going to diminish an asset over 6 months if they don't quite work out. So we have to do something. And I think it will show a massive lack of ambition if we don't do that, considering what's going on with numbers. And I think this portion of what we need to look at, we need to look up. I think Arteta said, it's out of his hands in terms of signings. I think he's putting pressure on the board. He's made comments about Isak, and et cetera, et cetera. I think there's this common misconception. Yes, we can look at Arteta over a wider sample, and we should, and I'm about to come to him. But in terms of the overall, in January, if the board said to Arteta tonight, we can sign Isak for you. Do you want it? Do you think he's saying no? Of course not. They've got the money. So they need to show ambition. And they need to get us out of this hole if they want to show us that ambition. And then it would be a massive red mark against them for me if they didn't go and do that. You know, long term, you still need to judge them long term. But it would be a massive problem for me. The manager, I'm not yet coming to get him out or anything like that. I'm nowhere near that. But he's showing shortcomings. Of course he is. He's showing shortcomings. He's showing an inability to fix a problem that has been going on for a long time. You know, as I'm sure there'll be people, as I've said in this video, well, you can't blame the manager for missing Kai Havertz's chances. No, I can't. But I can over the course of a season. If I'm looking back to last year, we're seeing the same issues. Yes, in a low-scoring sport, but you have to find ways. And that's a longer-term issue that he's not fixing. He has fixed things in the past, and I believe him before. I believe in him doing it again, sorry. But he's showing an inability to fix something at the minute, which is this slow, boring, difficult to watch football that is not getting us over the line. That's not efficient enough in the box. It's not creating, you know, if we look in the final third, we're constantly trying to find that slip ball on the underlap and crossing balls into the box. That's not the only way you can create chances in the final third. There's so many other ways in terms of variety of crossing and half space crossing, or shots from distance, or balls over the top, or carries, or, you know, there's so many different ways of creating chances. It feels like we're stuck on these patterns he has, and I don't get it. I don't get it. So he's got a lot to answer for in terms of the squad building and his part in that, in terms of the solutions he's not finding. I trust him to turn it round, but will he do it in time? And will he be backed? It's a big thing. In terms of solutions on the pitch, as I said, in terms of Mikel, the coaching stuff that he's got to work out. He's got to find different ways of doing that. He's got to get his players back. You know, you have to give someone all the tools, and we're playing with our hand behind our back, but equally there's fault for him to take. The players have to improve. You can't miss penalties in those sorts of games. Martin Odegaard was better on Sunday, but it's been poor recently. I think Saliba is probably one of the only players who can really hold his hands up. Maybe Raya. I'm probably missing someone who can really hold his hands up and say, I've been brilliant this season. I think basically everyone else can say, I've not had my best season. Kai Havertz, Martinelli, Jesus before the injury, Sterling, Marino. I think Jorginho's been okay. Even Gabriel has had his moments. Calafiori's not been perfect. You know, you can go around the whole team. Mikel, again, needs all of his players to be there, but equally the players who are there need to step up and take responsibility, and everyone needs to pull together. And I suppose that's maybe where I want to finish this, if you've got through this, is that it's really hard to support a team and hold that support for them, but expect more. It's sort of like a parenting trick where you're sort of like, you're letting me down, but I'm not going to give up on you because I know you have it in you. And I'm going to support you through it, but you can't hit the kid on the playground. Like, I'm not going to say that that's okay, but I know you're better than that, so I'm not going to give up on you and sort of turf you out of the house. It's kind of how I feel about us. I know we're better than this. I know it. It feels very parental, doesn't it? I know we're better than this. So yeah, I think fans have to take their part, and, you know, it's a small part, but they have to take their part in this as well and say, are we supporters or are we expectors? And we have to be supporters, I think, you know, especially in the stadium. We have to support the players and give the energy and do what we can to turn this around, because it's a collective effort. Obviously, I think that's very far down on the rung of things that need to change. But I hope there are people who, especially in the ground, you know, you see stuff that's like sent to like Kai Havertz's wife and stuff like that. It's just not. It's just unforgivable. It's completely unacceptable. And that sort of stuff just, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not saying I can change any of that from a YouTube channel, but I think there is an element here where fans need to take their part and support the team and support through the bad patch. I remember this interview with El Neni years ago talking about it, and it's, you know, the players are affected by it. So yeah, I mean, that's just a load of thoughts put together. I don't know how much that makes sense. Hopefully you agree with some of that. Let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, look, I'm really, I said at the beginning, it feels like I almost died. It does kind of feel like that. It just feels like so dead this year. And it's so frustrating because this was meant to be the year the project went bang, right? And it feels like we're kind of coming to a whimper. This team is good. This team is really, really, really good. They need to show us. We need to support it. The board needs to support it. The manager needs to find solutions. But as I said at the top, it's not all or nothing. Anyone out there saying it is all on Kai Havertz or all on Mikel Arteta or all on the fans is just lying. It's just not true. It's a collective effort. And where you apportion it, I'm not trying to tell you. I'm just trying to put those things out there. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Sorry it wasn't more scripted or more kind of put together. I don't think I have the energy for that. I'll have something for you guys later in the week. But yeah, I love you all. Thank you so much for supporting me on this channel. It's a privilege. It's really difficult at the minute to make videos about this club because they are killing me. But yeah, we are contextually in a really good spot, as in, in the history of Arsenal in terms of competing for leagues and stuff like that. We're in a good place. But we just need to fix these things, and we need to do it probably primarily in the market. We have to do something in January. It's yeah, I think it would be, as I said, negligent not to. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video. I'll come back with more structured thoughts later in the week. But yeah, thank you for being here. And I'll see you soon.
If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon monthly, or you can buy us a coffee.